All right, this is the Arena Open for Dominaria United. This is day one sealed. And I've done a lot of sealed events, so I decided to give it a go. I don't always participate in these because it's such a costly amount of gems. But here are our cards, or at least here are the rares. And yeah, not happy to see Voldalian Hexcatcher, just not really supported. The red-black land is just meh, but we actually have some good red and black cards. So we have Joda. It's really hard to pull off, especially in sealed. I've seen some people try it, but I haven't gone for it. Evolved Sleeper, that's a really strong one. Keeping an eye on black because that Elder Dragon War, my first time actually opening this in any event. So, but I know it's great. So happy to see that. And Temporal Firestorm, been on the receiving end many times. So happy to see it in our pack right here. Let's see what else we have. Okay, so scanning over the cards. Right away, white is sort of jumping out. We see Phyrexian Missionary, Evolved Sleeper, the Skyrider, Heroic Charge. A lot of good cards. Prayer Binding, Wingmantle Chaplain, something to keep an eye on. So we wanted to count our defenders. Blue is just looking pretty dismal. All my sealed pulls, blue has been pretty weak. So I'm not sure if it's just underpowered in this format. But black has some okay things, notably to Extinguish the Light, and some other role players like Phyrexian Warhorse. Got a Flowstone Infusion in red, and we have a Lightning Strike, so that jumps out as well. Keldon Strike Team, of course, we have our Elder Dragon War, Saga, Temporal Firestorm. So nothing's like super jumping out at the moment. We got a couple rares in red, so like in all likelihood we're playing red. Now we've got to check out green. And yeah, a couple Sunbathing Root Wall is pretty great, but it falls off quickly after that. We just don't really have much else worth playing in green. Just no real payoffs. Rereading Slimefoot Survey. I have to read it like every time I see it. The card is just, I've never seen anyone play it, so. And we have an assortment of 2-color lands. And so right away, based on our rares and based on what I'm seeing, like red, white, and black is sort of what I have it narrowed down to. Blue is just nothing jumps out. Green had some role players, but it was just pretty shallow after that. So you could see me jumping right towards like red, black, mostly because I think those Extinguish the Lights and like the red removal spells as well. So trying to just put the most powerful cards that I would like to play. So War Horses get in there, Soul Tender, Vivisector, Evolved Sleeper, and that's pretty much it if we were trying to go pure red-black. Like, the pools are just not deep enough in either color. None of that, but our curve doesn't look great at 4. We have just a ton of things. They're all pretty good, but you'd like a little more 2-mana plays if you can pull it off. So scanning to make sure I'm not missing anything, but like it looks like red black by itself is just not going to happen. Yeah, scanning over the dual lands. So you could see me pulling some black cards out to try and see how it looks with, like, I guess red, white with maybe a black splash. Because white has a lot more of the sort of role player cards that you might want at like the lower mana values. And currently we have 13 creatures. Usually like to have, I mean, it depends, but usually like 15 or so for like these kind of decks. You can go plus or minus a few depending on how things shake out. But it doesn't seem like very clear, like 2-color build. So I'm looking into 3 colors now. We have like representatives from like the Mardu colors, so we have like black white and red white and black red. So like there is incentive to like trying to make all 3 of those colors work. to get all of our gold cards in there and just like the most powerful cards of each of those colors. It is real tough that Extinguish the Light is double black. Like that is just like our mana base is sort of getting there if we were to try that, but it's just real tough to hit the double off color splash. So you could see me sort of scanning things, trying to figure out basically is it worth to commit that much to black. And Evolved Sleeper is another one of those, like, it's great, but not nearly as good off the splash because it won't come down early and start leveling up. And you may not have enough black mana to pour into its last ability, which is the one you really want to hammer if you can make it that far. Now, we have some 2-mana creatures in red and white that are like, okay, like the Samite Herbalist and the Goblin Picker. Like, you definitely play them, but you're not like excited to. You know, it's more begrudgingly playable. But yeah, just scanning and sort of refining. So the reason I decided to do this open is up to this point I've actually done 5 Dominaria United Sealeds, which is a lot for me. I don't usually do that many. 4 of which have videos if you want to check them out. The first one I forgot to record, and of course it was like my best sealed ever, went like 7-1, so that's lost to the ages. And so I did a time jump where after some more agonizing and soul searching, arrived at this build. This is not the final build though. It's close to it, but you could see I've made the painful choice of cutting black, not playing Extinguish the Lights, still have Evolved Sleeper, but honestly, like I was talking about, it's just not great off a splash. It's still a good card, but you'd like it to come down early, start leveling up, and it will rarely do that. So you could see we were definitely splashing the gold cards. Thankfully, they just require 1 black pip, so those are like pretty reasonable. So we're about to jump forward again, and this is more just a due diligence check right here. Like, could we build the Joda deck, like the 5-color pile? So we have Joda, we have basically every single legend possible. Joda rewards you for having a distribution of mana values, and unfortunately most of ours are clustered at 4. So that was more thought experiment, due diligence, but not really getting there. This right here is the list. So we ended up cutting Evolved Sleeper. Now right here, make a pretty key cut. Cut Jaya's Fire Nado for the stall for time. Even though we essentially will never kick stall for time, it's just a 3-mana tap 2 creatures down. Like it just could be a great tempo play, and I was just really trying to lower our curve. We have so many things on 4. Jaya's Fire Nado at 5 honestly doesn't kill a lot of problem things in this format for that much mana, so the tap down spell seems more in line with what we're trying to do. You see the equipment in there. That's actually treated me really well, especially since we have a few legendaries to have it juiced up even more. So settled on red-white, splashing a couple black cards, and here's game 1. So snap off this keep. The color situation's a bit rough. We'll be leaning on the grotto pretty hard, except we just drew a mountain, so that's going to help a lot. And so currently the plan is just to run out Phyrexian Missionary. That's the strength of the card. It's good on turn 2, it's good on turn 4 plus. Now we actually drew a black source, so things are developing nicely. Definitely still running out Phyrexian Missionary. Just a 2/3 lifelink is just amazing. You don't need to get greedy and wait to kick it because it's good without kicking it. And not only that, but it's going to hopefully brick wall their 2/1. Alright, so they already fire off a Leyline Binding on our Phyrexian Missionary. So, and then combat research. So it makes sense now why they would do that. They're trying to clear the path for combat research. Phyrexian Missionary is not a horrible target for Leyline Binding. But we're very happy to see that because we just get like a almost 2-for-1 here with the Lightning Strike. And just get the pass. And Phyrexian Missionary was not like incredibly important to our plan anyway. So like we're happy to see them use like a very premium removal spell on it. So play the Grotto, get our Scry. Keldon Strike Team is actually going to be pretty great here. So we can play Aeron, thanks to our grotto giving us our other white source. Okay, cleaving Skyrider from the opponent. So we're going to have an option next turn to play the Molten Monstrosity or the Keldon Strike team. Okay, so they use Impede Momentum. So Aeron's locked down for a while. We're okay with that. Question is, do we play a 5-5 trample or do we play the 3-1? I opted for the 3-1. Assuming I'm going to get Essence Scattered here, but it resolves. And yeah, we get to send in for 5. Alright. The opponent has Shore Up, so that untaps the creature, so it allows them a block. Alright, Phyrexian Espionage. Thankfully we have a land to pitch to that, so we didn't really lose out on anything. Opponent attacks us again. Wonder if they should have not blocked there, because it's going to get, you know, nasty for them, like trying to race us. Opponent appears to be flooding out a little bit. Alright, so they have the red-blue 5-4. I don't remember what its name is. Oh, and Baird. Alright, so things are getting interesting. Yeah, we could play the Dragon Saga. We could play... I opted for Hero's Heirloom. Trying to really punch through some damage here. So this way we have 2 5-power creatures and like... Okay, so opponent just decides to take it. So we're happy to see that. Yeah, I'm reading this one. And yeah, they'd seen enough. That's it. On to the next one. And so for this event, the way it works is if you hit 7 wins, you go to day 2. And day 2 has like gem and cash prizes and stuff. So this is the day 1 event, which is sealed. So the whole goal is to hit 7 wins, which is not an easy feat. But off to a good start already, sitting at 1-0. Alright, so we're seeing Mardu colors from the opponent. We attack in with our Goblin Picker, send out Flowstone Kavu. And we're feeling pretty great. So, okay, so opponent has the Lightning Strike. Would have felt better to have both of our... And we have a lot of 4-mana plays right now. We can play any of them at this point. Alright, so opponent is just not playing stuff. They could just have a removal heavy draw or just be on like removal tribal. Decide to play the Fury Rider. And it survived thus far. Let's see if they use like Extinguish the Light. Phyrexian Warhorse. Jaya's Fire NATO. So that's going to potentially be good. We're on the aggressive now, so it's not amazing. Decide to play pre-combat Garna and just attack in. Like, they're going to trade with the Fury Rider, but we'll at least get a card back from it, thanks to Garna, and get a little extra damage off our goblins. So we're just being hyper-aggressive here. Now, Banal Sleeper is amazing because if they only play 1 creature, we could just Sleeper it, and then they're in major, major trouble. So that's what happened. They played 1 blocker, and we're going to be able to just hammer them right here. Get the ping off Garna for good measure. And opponent's life total is falling really quick. And if they kill things, like, they're going to be getting drained anyway. Like, we're getting to the point where we can almost just fire off Firestorm and win. Danitha, that's really bad news. But look what we drew off the top. Prayer of Binding. Like, we're living on a prayer right now. You know, that would yeah, that's it. Danitha would have turned that game around, and we happen to draw Prayer Binding right off the top. So, like, that's how it goes sometimes. We would have been in an incredibly tough position, but we are able to sail through for the win. Goblin Picker, pass. Snapped off this keep. It's another pretty good one. Prayer Binding, already MVP status for us. Now we could play I'd opt to play the flyer just to keep crashing through for more damage. The Kavu would be hard to block next turn anyway in their current status, but if we don't draw anything, that's going to be our next play. Alright, so Elas Il Core. And yeah, we're happy just to smash in with both of those. No block from the opponent. Flowstone Kavu pass. Alright, Phyrexian Rager. Their life gain offsets the life loss. So play the land, you know, just to make sure we have maximum Flowstone Kavu potential. And attack with Bolt. They could double block. Okay, so they block. With their Rager, we lose our Goblin Picker and we get pinged for 1. But we're able to play our Fury Rider and present a lot more damage next turn. And we could even have Prayer Binding up to blow out a block or something. Okay, Bog Badger. And it looks like they kicked it. Alright, they kicked it but didn't attack. Now, Flowstone Infusion's great. We get to take out Elas Il Core and trying to decide how to attack. Like, obviously our Fury Rider is better than Bog Rider, but Fury Rider just trades with a lot of things anyway, so decide just to send on in. They're going to definitely block the Fury Rider, but it adds 2 additional points of damage. We're going to get 1 Flowstone activation off the Kavu. But opponent falls to 4, and we can just slam another 2-2. I mean, we have a 2-1 flyer, a 2-3 menace, and a removal spell in hand, so we've just been trying to keep the pressure on so they just can't recover. So like a singular blocker here won't matter. So they have a Tortoise, and that's it. And play the land in case we need a Flowstone Pump and Prayer Binding. Fortunately, we can't get through the ward right now. Otherwise, it'd be a lot simpler. So Artillery Blast is frustrating. So being 1 mana short is going to be tough here because the opponent can block and survive the day. But they're in desperation mode right now because they fall to 2 life against a flyer. So let's see what they got. Oh, and this is basically concession. They play the Toxic Abomination to kill themselves. Next game. Another great hand. We're just cranking out the wins right here, just hoping to keep riding this train. Definitely going to just Phyrexian Missionary turn 2. I mean, that could seriously just win the game by itself with how much life it gains us and just being really difficult to block early. Really happy to see a couple 2-1 flyers coming down next. And with how much aggression we're putting out and the stall for time, like opponent is in pretty big trouble unless they have something really good coming up. Okay, Lagamos. That's pretty good in a situation because the 1-3 blocks pretty well. Now draw another land. We're getting a little flooded here. Decide to lock in the life gain. Oh, there's an argument to leaving the Phyrexian Missionary back on defense to block their token they generate. But just decide not to worry about that. It could turn on like a Flowstone something for them. Here's where things start going pretty poorly. So they have Sheoldred the Apocalypse, which is basically a must answer card because it's going to start draining us for 2 each turn. And we just can't compete with that kind of life loss, even with our little life linker. So now the Phyrexian Missionary has to stay on defense. Flyers crash in. There is still like a chance we can win this game, but it's slipping away quickly because Sheoldred is just that good. Lagamos. It'll be interesting. So opponent does attack in with Shieldred. And we have no way to really deal with that. And they wisely do not send in with the 2-1 because they don't want to give us like the free life gain. So let's see what they have to follow. Alright, so we draw another flyer. We're still trying to figure out what to do. Leaving the Phyrexian Missionary back because it's important to like hold off their token at this point with how fast Shieldred's chipping out our life total. And yeah, we could play another flyer. So like, this isn't the worst position to be against a Shieldred, but it's not great. Extinguish the Light's tough there because we lose our life linker and they gain 3 life plus the 2 life now. So now it's pretty dire because they can slam in with everyone. Maybe should have blocked the Lagomos there, but it honestly Oh, and they have Tattered Apparition with 1 activation up, which is real tough because it's functionally a 3-mana, a 3/3 flyer at this point, and we're basically dead. We did happen to draw our 1 blue source for our stall for time. Trying to figure out, strike team is actually pretty good if we can survive. Problem is if you fire off stall for time, the card draw, it's going to draw us a card, which is going to drain us another 2 life. So we're very close to being dead. So just very desperate right now. We're able to knock them to 9. They're going to go back to 11. Shield is just a very frustrating card to play against if you don't have removal. Alright, we fall to 2. So we needed an opponent to just not have anything there, but of course they have just a litany of blockers. And that's the crazy thing is, if they had no blockers there, which was asking a lot. Oh wait, we were at 2 life now. We were not surviving that anyway. Yeah, that's how good Shieldred is. So we picked up a loss already, but that's what happens. We just keep on battling. Okay, opponent passes. Could be an Essence Scatter. It did seem like they had like a priority pass, so it could be something else. Put Semi Herbalist on the stack. Alright, it's actually Impulse. So we do get our Herbalist. And have options for turn 3. You could go Flowstone plus Equipment if needed. We have the Turtle. So Flowstone is like a cleaner way to take care of the turtle. We'll just attack in. We'll be very happy if they blocked here. We're going to take the Scry. Now, end up keeping that top. We don't super need the mana. We do need the red source, and the fact it's also black source is pretty important. So kept it to cast our Fury Rider. So gaining a little bit of life here to help us if we start racing them. Okay, so opponent appears to be a multicolored domain. They send with the Tortoise. Definitely no block. There's so many pump spells they could have. Root Walla, very strong card. Now what do we do? Decide just to send in. We'd be sort of happy they traded off the Root Walla because it's just a strong card. They're probably not going to because they know how good it is and how they have like full domain already, so it could pump pretty high. Decide to play the Fury Rider. Not entirely sure that was correct. There's an argument to playing the Equipment plus the Flowstone there to take down the Root Walla, so but wanted to get like creatures in play to keep putting them under pressure because our mass pump spell gets much better that way. But opponent just decides to take down the Fury Rider. Lightning Strike. And it seems like a pretty good turn to play Hero's Heirloom, equip it up, Trying to decide flyer or ground creature. Put it on the ground creature. And the scrying is being really clutch. Like, this is effectively draw a card here because the mountain does nothing for us at the moment. Opponent falls to 8. And end up passing the turn. Not sure that was correct. Wonder if I should have just flow stoned the... You could see it starting, everything starting to come unraveled here. That was, I think, a pretty big misplay to not flow stone at the end of my turn on the root wall. I mean, they could have still made a similar play by doing this with their tortoise. Actually, it would not have been nearly as good. So that's a pretty poor play on my part. Pixie Illusionist as a 1/1 because it trades with our flyer currently. But they did not pump the root wall, so actually that was, yeah, strange sequence of events. We made a misplay by not flow stoning, but then I guess they must have suspected we had something, so they just opted just to trade the creature. So either way, it was a very strange sequence right there, and we ended up using the flow stone on the flyer and winning the game. So yeah, that was a strange one, how that one shook out. And we'll keep taking these opening hands with Phyrexian Missionary. Now, opponent does have a Essence Scatter mana up, so throw out the Goblin Picker because of that fact as like a little lower priority thing. Fog Badger from the opponent. And we are able to kick Phyrexian Missionary next turn. However, there's nothing in our graveyard, so just run it out. Now the equipment's going to be really nice. It's going to help us outgrow this Badger and hopefully get some damage in. Waiting to see what the opponent does. Alright, it's a Queen. Let's see what happens. And it seems like a really great Goblin Picker activation turn. Like, we were sort of flooded, so pitch a land, see what we can get. Another land, not great. And Sleeper's not bad. Now the question is, what do we sacrifice? Because the Sleeper can rumble with their Badger, but the Picker can help us get rid of all these lands we're drawing. So I opt to get rid of the Sleeper. And opponent gets rid of their Queen. And we just pass. So we can just sort of camp out with this Goblin Picker and just keep sort of refining our hand over time, like pitching all the lands away. Because limited decks tend to be sort of land heavy in order to, like, it's just sort of a necessity to get the colors to work. Now opponent has a 4/4. That's not great for us. We do have a removal spell, but we'll have to see how necessary it is to use it on the 4/4. Okay, we got Aeron, Flowstone Kavu. Now, it doesn't seem like a good turn to use the removal spell because we wouldn't be able to even attack afterwards, but we are able to double spell by playing Aeron followed by the Hero's Heirloom. And so that's going to give us more options in the future with like Aeron activation or put a Heirloom on something. So it's sort of like who makes the first move as far as like combat goes. We're trying to see what's going to happen. Opponent sends in the 4/4. Definite no block. There's so many things they could have to completely destroy us. Callous Lookout. Trying to decide what to do. End up equipping up the Phyrexian Missionary and trying to like tempt them into a double block on the Missionary because we could blow it out with our combat trick. Opponent decides that Aeron is more dangerous. They take him down. We purposely don't kill the Lookout because we don't want him to draw the card yet. We play our Flowstone Kabu and pass. And the nice thing about putting the equipment on the missionary is that it gains us a chunk of life, so opponent's trying to figure out what to do. And they just passed. Okay, so our little plan worked. Like, we were able to sort of fend them off. And that is an incredible draw. Heroic charge. We could, use it this turn. It didn't seem like it was lining up quite the right way. Now, trying to set a trap for the opponent here. Put the equipment on the Kavu to try and tempt them into a double block. And what we can do here, so it worked. So they go in for the double block. We'll see if they have some way to mess with it. So opponent's going to attempt something. Shore up, and this is absolutely incredible for us. Don't know how I had the soul read to just pass priority to them, but they attempt to like boost their tree folk. We're able to just completely blow them out here. Just a terrible sequence of events for the opponent, because they lose the tree folk, they lose their shore up, now they lose their Talos Lookout, and we still have our Kavu in play. Now they play the Sojourner. That actually matters a lot because it's a 4/6. The heroic charge is not quite good enough for our other creatures. So opponent plays Resolute Reinforcements. So they're not out of the set. So they get to surprise us with the double block. And it doesn't seem right to use our heroic charge here, because it's only one attacking creature. They still have some stuff. It seems better just to sort of use the Flowstone's natural ability to take them all down, which we'll happily do. Now there is a question, do we do it one more time to take out both creatures, or do we hold off and then play our Fury Rider? Opt to use it to take out both creatures just to reduce their resources, because we could still pour our extra mana into a Hero's Heirloom equip. So that was a decision point right there, whether to do that. So Johnny Sleeper Agent from the opponent, very strong card, but not in a vulnerable position like this. So like they get the plus and try and get something.
Join us.
And they have a Citizen's Arrest on top, which is great. But is it gonna be too little, too late? And they scry it to the top. And so essentially what Johnny's doing here is just buying them a little bit of life. Once again, option to heroic charge doesn't seem like the right move.
Join us.
It's just not that necessary to kill a Johnny because he's not doing anything for them, really. So opponent has the Essence Scatter, and we know that their next play is going to be Citizen's Arrest. And assuming they're going to take out the life linker, use the mana to put the equipment on the picker. So let's see if they actually get something.
We have allies everywhere.
And surprisingly, they take up the shield on top with no creatures in play. So very, very surprised by that move right there. So now we could finally take down a Johnny. But is it sort of an astonishing play from the opponent to take up the shield on top with no creatures in play and no means of drawing any. So not quite sure what the reasoning was there. I think the Johnny gives you the option to put it on the bottom. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe that's what happened. But yeah, mathing it out a little bit. Heroic charge still can't kill them, otherwise we would have totally went for it here. But we're close to slamming the door on them. And because of heroic charge, opt not to play the Samite Healer in case they draw like a Wrath or something. But yeah, we got there. So far, so good. We're still in this to try and make day 2 with 7 wins. So we'll see if we can get there. Planes, and we have options. A lot of nice plays. Definitely going to lead with the Samite Herbalist because it can gain life, scry some cards for us. Okay, they play Clockwork Drawbridge. Not an amazing thing for us because it could mean we're facing like a full-fledged Defenders deck. Sorry, Defenders deck with like Wingmate Chaplain. So we'll have to see if it's just a wall for wall's sake. Glowstone Kabu pass. Let's see what happens. Swamp. Micromancer. Okay, so they have a really strong pump spell. Trying to figure out to send a solo Kavu. The opponent thought about the double block. Alright, so they ended up going for it. We're going to use the Flowstone ability to take down Micromancer because it's one thing that actually has power. Might regret this if there's like a Wingmate Chaplain in our future, but at the time it seemed like the best play. And we have our Mesa Cavalier follow-up. Now we are a little choked on white mana. We can't play Aeron, and we draw another double white spell, so that's pretty tough for us. Don't attack into their pump spell here. Alright, and they have Artillery Blast. Maybe should have, because the Scry would have been pretty nice, and we would just been trading like our 2-1 for the pump spell. So there is an argument to just using it now, forcing them to use it now when it's the least valuable for them. Alright, Vortuck Bone Rattle to get Micromancer back. Let's see if and can they fail to find. So things are just not going incredibly well for us. We're drawing our double white spells and choked on white mana. Trying to figure out what to do. They are also like holding that pump spell over our heads, holding us hostage with that. Shield Wall Sentinel. Let's see if our nightmares are confirmed. It's like they don't even really need Wing Mantle at this point. Like they're ahead anyway. So end up using Prayer Binding post. Maybe should have used that honestly pre-combat just to save ourselves the 4 damage, but I'm not sure if that was the right move or not. So we're able to play a Mesa Cavalier, which is going to look pretty horrible in a moment once Wing Mantle Chaplain comes down. And we have a Lightning Strike to like attempt to kill something. Problem is they have a 1 mana pump spell that they just keep holding up. So Wing Mantle Chaplain. And they get 3 birds out of it. And our Cavalier just looks horrendous right now with all the 1/1 flyers. So this game's slipping away. We do have Heroic Charge, so like it's not out of the question that we could string together something for a win. Now drawing the Flowstone all of a sudden makes this a safe play. Now opponent must, they sniffed out something, or they're just holding the pump spell to put 1/1 counters on their whole team once they can pay the kicker, because that's a lot more valuable now. Or they just have another Bone Rattle to get back the Wing Mantle Chaplain, and we played right into their hands. So basically just opponent has everything going their way. This is great plays and also like good fortune from them. So, and this is the power of Wing Mantle Chaplain, and also the Bone Rattle, no joke either. And despite everything, like Heroic Charge is just that good that we could still steal a win if we had like drawn a white source earlier and had a few more creatures in play. Like we absolutely could have still stolen the game. But now we're in full desperation mode. I mean, we're attempting blocks, but they're just going to fire off the pump spell. and give their whole team like a huge boost, and yeah, that's just game over. So we fought our hardest, but opponent just had a really sweet plan with Wing Mantle and like tons of recursion and stuff like that. So, and yeah, we are super dead. And there's loss number 2. On to the next game. So we're barely hanging on in this event. We'll see if we can recover from that beatdown. All right. Opt to play the Juniper Root Weaver to keep up the Banalish Sleeper kicker if possible. If not, we're just going to run it out, like if they don't have any creatures. And Fire Extinction Missionary. That one's strong enough to prompt using the sleeper. However, we just drew Lightning Strike, and that's actually much better here because that'll let us play the sleeper. It'll let us play the sleeper later on as a creature instead of like an edict. So that was a pretty clutch Lightning Strike off the top. Okay, opponent just passes. And we draw another land, which is unfortunate. Would love if this was like a semi-herbalist in play, because we'd be scrying these lands away. The question is, do we run out creatures, or do we like hold back and try and whammy them with temporal firestorm? Opponent is not really committing to the board, so decide just to play our creatures out. Okay, so they have their own Lightning Strike. So now we can sort of, at this point in time, we have no more creatures. Alright, so opponent, Lightning Strike Tribal over there. Very happy to see them use their premium spells on like our non-premium creatures. So we could throw out Fury Rider. It's not great by itself, but still something. And the opponent has used, maybe they're out of Lightning Strikes. Alright, so they pass to us without playing a land. And we play the pre-combat Hellion because we want to make sure we lock in that mana discount in case they kill it in combat or something. So definitely want to lock that in. Black mana from the opponent. Phyrexian Rager. And we're just going to snap off. Well, let's see. I think I was crunching the numbers and didn't seem quite right to snap off the removal spell because they're still at 12. So opponent's jumping for a bit of damage here. Sorry, to stop a bit of damage. But they're in big trouble. They must have been... Well, we know they were mana screwed. They must have also been color screwed. And so we got there. Alright, so moving to the screen right now so you could see we are now sitting at 6-2. So we have one more game. And if we lose, that's it. If we win, we make it to day 2. So wanted to emphasize that's where we're sitting at right now. On an absolutely great run right now. So this is it. This is the deciding game. So snap off this hand. We got Cavalier, we got Lightning Strike, and we got our Dragon Saga. So drawing the Fury Rider is not great, but yeah, we just play our equipment, pass. So we have like a defensive spell in Lightning Strike. We have our Cavalier. Let's see how it goes. And draw another non-land. So you could see the wheels coming off right now. We absolutely needed like a land right there. And maybe should not have kept this hand, but with the Lightning Strike to buy us some time, it seemed like a pretty good idea. So I'm gonna snap off Lightning Strike here. Never happy to use removal on a Soul Tender, but we just want to survive at this point. And we miss on a land again. So this is how it goes sometimes. We were one win away from making day 2, and been having some really great fortune So we draw a 2-mana spell, but this is like too little too late. Opponent's really pulling ahead, and they have the kill spell. And so it's just falling apart. And these games happen sometimes, so... we're not quitting because, crazier things can happen than like a comeback from this situation. So we're holding on, but it's looking increasingly dire. Now, opponent plays Threats Undetected. I've actually never seen this played before, and this is just a nightmare scenario. So we had to let them keep 2 of these. We're choosing which 2 to put away. So decide to put Titania and like their massive creature away, but honestly, it's still not great because they have some, it's a 3-mana draw 2 creature spell as is. So they play the Battlefly and pass to us. And this is sort of the toughest kind of games where like, you're probably going to lose, but then you draw that land like to give you a tiny bit of hope. Like, I probably would have just conceded if we had not drawn a land there. But now we just have more chance to have our dreams shattered trying to make it to day 2. Now play the Cavalier. It's just an unenviable situation because we played like the Kavu to try and block the root wall. Well, that's not happening because the root wall I can just pump, so just not a good situation. And then they have the 4/4 green-white creature, which is going to start placing 1/1 counters and all their stuff. Decide just to block here because of the 1/1 counter aspect coming up, so... And yeah, like, we're able to start deploying one thing a turn, but we're so far... opponent has 6 mana in play. Lots going on also. Like, they have card advantage spells in hand and in their graveyard, and then they found their Tatiova anyway, and of course they got the land drop. So we're hanging on there, like I said, but it's not happening. So then the question becomes, would you have kept that hand, the 2-land hand without any creatures? But we have like a lot of 2-mana creatures, so any early 2-mana creature draws or land would have put us right into it. And honestly, it's hard to say. Like, maybe that was an ill-advised keep, but I'm trying not to be like results oriented. Obviously, it went horrible for us, but to be completely honest, I'm not sure if we could have beaten their deck anyway. Like, seeing how it's operated, like, they're just going so much bigger than us. They have a lot of good cards going. Obviously, they made it to 6 wins, presumably, for a reason, and their deck looks incredibly strong. So it would have taken a really strong start from our deck to even beat what they have going on. But yeah, we're trying our best, but we're super dead. So that was it. So normally be very happy with the 6-3, but in this event it feels pretty bad. So we do get half our entry back, but yeah, we'll have to try again another time. The Open is high stakes, and would love to make day 2 sometime and give that a shot. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you played this Arena Open and how you did. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.